A new visual investigation by the Wall Street Journal reveals the Minnesota shooting is not the first case of ICE officers breaking the basic law enforcement safety protocols or firing into moving cars. Joining us now, co-writer of that report, visual investigations reporter at the Wall Street Journal, Brenna Smith. Brenna, the report details 13 incidents nationwide since July of federal immigration agents firing at or into civilian vehicles. Tell us about what you found.
Hi, thank you for having me. So I was on a team of reporters who basically was trying to answer this question of how are these vehicle stops escalating into violent encounters. We looked and scrubbed as much as we could of past court filings, news clips. We were able to see since last July that there were over a dozen other incidents. We obtained footage of 4 of them. And in those, we were able to then go and work with and speak with various sources and current and former DHS agents, as well as police trainers who helped develop curricula for vehicle stops, to be able to understand if there were any similar characteristics across these videos.
John Lemire, there are 13 incidences of ICE agents firing at cars, at automobiles. In 12 of those 13 cases, the person they were shooting at were unarmed. And in the one case where that wasn't the case, the weapon was actually secured in a place that would have posed absolutely no threat to the agents.
Yeah, it's remarkable that these patterns do emerge, Brenna. So let's talk more about that, please. The Joe points out 12 of them unarmed. Obviously, this victim in Minneapolis last week, unarmed. What other sort of patterns are you seeing here? When you said you spoke to some current and former law enforcement, what are they saying in terms of perhaps mistakes that were made by these agents, or were there some defenses offered in terms of actually, maybe it shouldn't have escalated to a shooting, but some of the tactics were correct? What are some of the patterns we found here in something that's, I think we all fear is going to happen again?
Yeah, so I think something to keep in mind is that traffic stops are actually a very well-studied area of law enforcement. It's something there's decades of research about the best, safest ways to go about doing a vehicle stop, not just for civilians, but also for the officers themselves. When we looked at 4 of these incidents, and the experts that we spoke with were basically telling us that the tactics that ICE was using in those 4 recorded videos were essentially There were times where then they were boxing in the vehicle, and that's something that should be reserved specifically for typically high-risk situations. And when you do it, you need to do it right. They need to not have any room to flee, and that typically was allowed to happen. There also were actions that one expert described as intrusive actions, where it's when you use some more aggressive tactics, it can provoke resistance from civilians, such as when you smash a window, you reach into a car, you grab into a car.
We saw that here with the door handle.
Right, yes, with the door handle. Another key one is the idea of interacting with a moving vehicle in general, whether that's moving into the path or also shooting into a moving vehicle. One expert described that the shooting into a moving vehicle is something that needs to be taken with significant calculation, though hard to do on the fly, because essentially if you shoot into a moving vehicle, he called it essentially an unguided missile after that.
All right. The new piece is online now. Visual investigations reporter at the Wall Street Journal, Brenna Smith. Thank you very much.